Hello, and welcome to the HR Challenge Grow Your Practice Without Hiring. My name's Ketan, I'm one of the Iris specialists. Thank you for your attendance. This session will last around 20 minutes. Now, before we kick off, I wanted to share some interesting research done recently by a company called Bankstream. They found that 80% of accountants are looking to improve their performance over the next 6 months. 51% are looking at hiring as a way to do this. However, 73% of this group are finding it hard, expensive, or too much of a managerial overhead to do so. Now, the agenda for today. We're going to be going through the following. What is the cost and impact of hiring poorly? The impact of the right decisions. How Iris can help. Why Iris, and then the next steps. So, what is the cost and impact of hiring poorly? Now, one of the difficulties a lot of accountants face when hiring is finding the right people, either due to location or resource. If you're in a rural location, maybe finding suitably skilled candidates who can hit the ground running and fit into a role seems like an impossibility. They may not know how to use certain software you use. Perhaps you only need half an employee. If you're in a city, maybe it's a challenge because you struggle to offer the highest salaries demanded by employees, as your margins are squeezed. This isn't just a problem within the accounting industry. The FBI are actually struggling to hire computer engineers as they're struggling to find engineers who can pass certain sobriety tests. This is such a problem that the director has suggested the policy might have to be amended to ease the recruitment issue. Now, the financial costs of hiring staff. If we drill down purely into the financial costs of hiring, the costs of hiring an accountant can vary vastly by region, so this of course could be much higher. However, if we assume a salary of around 30,000, there's firstly the difficulty of finding a qualified person. Assuming you find someone who you think is suitable, you may have to pay recruitment costs, which can be beyond 20%. Then there's the employer's national insurance contributions and further training, as well as other costs for sickness. The overall costs could go well over 50,000. Now, there's other costs, non-financial costs to consider. For example, it's difficult to put a price on integration of the team. Someone who doesn't fit with the culture of the business can have a detrimental effect on your business, demotivating other staff around them and causing stress. I was recently speaking with an accountant who had a disgruntled employee who decided when quitting to pour bleach over their servers. Needless to say, after this experience, they were a lot more cautious when hiring future staff members. There are other costs, for example, your time. Sometimes when hiring, you may have spent the time to interview them. What's showing on their CV might not necessarily be representative, and they might not be as skilled or as qualified as they made out. Or after they start, they end up doing work which is well below their skill level. As a result, they'll feel demotivated and won't be earning the right fee. If they were to leave you, you'll have to go through the pain of finding a new member of staff again. Your brand. Now, increasingly, your brand is becoming more and more important. Nowadays, with online reviews, the culture of customers complaining via social media channels, and the speed at which bad news travels is very much heightened compared to what it was, say, 15 years ago. Hence, the impact of not turning around work quickly enough could be detrimental to the practice. Beyond this, maybe currently you only offer a small amount of services due to the lack of expertise in the practice. Typically, clients will only want to deal with one accountant. So, if, for example, you're not currently offering a bookkeeping service in the practice, the question should be asked, are you losing business as a result of this? So in summary, what is the impact of the wrong decisions when hiring? As we've discussed, there are the financial costs, which can run into the many thousands. There's the non-financial costs, such as the impact on your brand and the reputation of not being able to offer a full range of services, as well as the impact of not being able to consistently turn around work quickly enough. The time lost trying to find the right employee, perhaps you or your staff are having to work weekends because of the impact of the work not being done to the right standard. Perhaps your employee isn't getting a high enough recovery rate. And then there's the stress of having an employee who doesn't fit with the culture of your team. This can be detrimental to other staff members, as well as the potential costs of things like unfair dismissal claims. So, we've discussed the worst case scenarios. What would be the impact if there was a right decision made? What would the perfect employee look like to you? They'd have 100% of their time charged out, meaning you wouldn't be losing money on dead time. You would know exactly how much they're costing you before jobs are completed, meaning you'd know exactly how profitable you are on individual jobs. This would mean you could either get rid of unprofitable clients or request a higher fee on renewal. I don't know of many accountants who don't have some clients they'd rather not have to deal with. With the facts, you can make the right strategic decisions for your practice. Confidence. You'd have the confidence that they could turn around work in a timely fashion, enabling you to plan properly. They would be skilled at the job they're doing and would be doing work which is relevant to their skill level. You wouldn't have to spend too much time training them on specific software, for example. They'd be flexible, working more hours at busy time, for example when it's personal tax season. At quieter times, they might not necessarily need to work so much. So to summarise, the perfect employee would have a 100% charge out rate. You'd know exactly how much they would cost you. They would be proficiently skilled to do the job. You wouldn't need to train them on using Iris, for example. They'd be flexible, working more when needed. You'd have confidence that in the time it will take them to turn around the work. So how can we help you with this? How can Iris help? It might sound impossible to achieve. It's not through witchcraft or any funny measures. It's actually through a service called outsourcing. So what is outsourcing? It's basically subcontracting the work you don't want to do and buying in what you need. We do it every day. For example, if you don't feel like cooking, you might get a takeaway. If you don't feel like driving, you might grab a taxi. Our outsourced operation is in an office in India. Now there are lots of common myths and concerns that accountants typically have when doing something like this. So I'd like to talk about a few of these directly. The first one being about quality, the quality of the work. We have very high levels of satisfaction amongst our users. After the jobs are completed, we ask for feedback, ensuring you're happy with the level of work that has been done. And where necessary, we can rectify any issues that may have occurred. There is a fear that sometimes it will be difficult and messy to share information, when actually the opposite of this is true. We have portals to allow you to upload information. You can see exactly where specific jobs are at a glance. Beyond this, for certain services, we can actually insource the work, which basically means we can do the work on your machine. There's also an impact on employees. There are two threads to this. Firstly, your employees. There may be a concern that this could be a way to get rid of staff, when actually the opposite can be true. Do you have a top-heavy firm? If so, it will allow that staff member to focus on higher value work, for example, business advisory. If you have a lot of admin staff, It could be positioned as a step up because they could be your client liaison managers. Working in the background, we work in the background, remaining invisible to your clients. It's all about how you position it. It's really important to think about what your clients will value as a service. And I think what typically when you ask them is the time that you spend with them. Compliance isn't something that they necessarily value, it's just something that's expected. We also hear of concerns that our employees might be in poor conditions. I'm sure we've seen all of the scandals surrounding some of the clothing brands. With Iris, our staff are on Iris contracts and are treated as full Iris employees, which means they get all of the perks of paid leave, employment rights, and a healthy working environment. The only difference is they're in our offices, so you don't have to deal with the stress of maintaining the staffing. There are sometimes concerns about security and where the data is held. All of our data is actually held in the UK, and we follow all of the Data Protection Act guidelines. Now, when the data gets uploaded to our portal, to our secure portal, it's actually still based in the UK. So the team will dial in to that server and work in a hosted environment, essentially meaning that the data never leaves the UK. So to summarise, we have a high quality of work which is backed up by our feedback and years of experience. We have over 500 clients using the service, 230 staff, and we've been doing this for over 10 years. We make it really easy as possible to share the information. The staff on both sides should be happy, and we are compliant and secure. And dependent on the service, we work with a plethora of different service and software providers. So what services do we offer? We have our year-end service. This is the statutory accounts that will be produced in Iris. Now, when you send us the work through the portal, you're going to send us the Iris backup, and we work on that backup and pass that back to you, along with a working paper file produced in Excel. We have a payroll service as well. This can be insourced, and what do I mean by this? Basically, all of the data can be live on your environment, meaning we can dial in. If you have any last minute adjustments, you're still able to do this. Beyond this, we work with a plethora of different software providers. We have a personal tax service, which again can be done live on your environment, as well as outsourced. We can ease that headache that comes around December and January. For accounts that are produced outside Iris, if you're producing any accounts on Word, for example, or Excel or PDF, we can get it tagged up with the taxonomy and guarantee it will pass through the government portal. And finally, bookkeeping. You can give us the raw data to make sense of your client's books. We can also do VAT, bank reconciliations, and management accounts. This can be done on a variety of different softwares, from Sage to Xero to Cashflow. So if hiring difficulties are causing you stress, or you just have too much work and want to be more profitable, maybe resourcing is right for you. You'll get a 100% charge out rate. You won't have to deal with the stress of recruiting and hiring the wrong employee. Maybe you only want to hire half a person. One of the compelling reasons clients choose our service is we can assure budgets and turnaround times before a job is started, which in turn means that we can set better expectations with your clients, and again protecting your brand. Our standard of work is of the highest quality, and we can provide a flexible service which will allow you to call upon us when you need more work doing during those busy times. And all of our staff are skilled on the products we use. So in summary, in this session we've covered a huge amount of content. We went through the cost and impact of hiring the wrong staff menu. Financial costs, the reputation to your business and protecting your brand, the time of hiring and the stress of this. We discussed what a perfect employee would look like. The fact that they would have a 100% charge out rate. You would know their costs. They would be properly skilled for the job and they'd be flexible. And you can have confidence in their turnaround times. We went on to discuss how Iris can help with our outsourcing service, sometimes referred to as resourcing, and how we do this on a day-to-day basis. We talked about the common myths of outsourcing around quality of work, sharing of information, staffing and employee worries, security, and the fact that, dependent on the service, we can work with different software providers. And finally, we came on to the services we can offer, so payroll, personal tax, both of which can be insourced, year-end, statutory account service, iXBRL tagging, and bookkeeping. Now, resourcing does require a conversation to see if it's the right fit for your business. To see if there's value to be added or you'd like more information on the service, please speak to your account manager. Simply call the team on 0344 815 550 and thank you for your time. Just as a bonus point, just be aware we've recently launched a new product called Iris Snap. It's a simple tool to take pictures of your receipts and invoices. So if you have any clients who are bringing in bags of receipts and you'd like to get them trying this app or using this app, speak to your account manager about how you can get involved in that. Again, thank you for your time. If you've got any further questions, please give the team a call on 0344 815 550. Thank you.